floor, and this is our 5 o'clock work session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. I would like to invite Margaret O'Donnell up to give us the blessing. How are you doing today?
I am well. I am not here to talk about housing or the paddocks or anything like that, but I was contacted by Jim Jackson in the Frankfurt Interfaith Council and asked whether I would be willing to give a prayer, and I said I'm not much of a prayer, and he said talk about something meaningful that talks to the people who are on the Fiscal Court. So I decided to go with my connection to the Interfaith Council. We have become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams. More than any other nation on earth, America has constantly drawn strength and spirit from wave after wave of immigrants, bearing different memories, honoring different heritages. They have strengthened our economy, enriched our culture, renewed our promise of freedom and opportunity for all. It says something about our country that people around the world are willing to leave their homes and leave their families and risk everything to come to America. Their talent and hard work and love of freedom have helped make America the leader of the world. What makes someone American isn't just blood or birth, but allegiance to our founding principles and faith in the idea that anyone from anywhere can write the next chapter of our story. The bosom of America is open to receive not only the opulent and respected stranger, but the oppressed and persecuted of all nations and religions, whom we shall welcome to a participation of all our rights and privileges. If there are any abroad who desire to make this the land of their adoption, it is not in my heart to throw aught in their way to prevent them from coming to the United States. We are a people born of many peoples. Our culture, our skills, our very aspirations have been shaped by immigrants and their sons and daughters. They have made us what we are. Remember always that all of us, and you and I especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionists. These are quotes from Presidents George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. I am a fan of the Bible, even if I'm not a prayer, so I will conclude with, let mutual love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Margaret. Appreciate you being with us tonight. And before we move on, I want to talk about last court meeting we had it just happened, an employee who passed away. So there's a picture of Tony up there right now. Tony Stivers, who passed away at the age of 56 on May 22nd. Tony was a lifelong Franklin County resident for who people knew him. They knew he loved the Cincinnati Bengals, playing golf, fishing. He enjoyed good country music, and most of all, hanging out with friends and family, especially his children, grandchildren, and his wife Katie and their dogs. He previously served as a school bus driver, and most recently was an employee of the Franklin County Road Department for the past 2 years. He will be missed by his work family, friends, and this community. And we ask we take a moment of silence as we continue to keep his family in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. Thank you very much. I'm sure his family will appreciate that. Alrighty, I'm going to ask right now if there's any public comments in the audience, if anybody would like to come up and speak. Alrighty, seeing none, I'm going to invite Duke Wilburn up, our road super, to give us an update on what's been going on. How you doing, Duke?
Doing well, how are y'all?
Good, thank you.
Just want to update you on what the road crews have been doing lately. As you know, we run normally a ditching crew, and culvert crew every day for the most part. Had a little storm blow through weekend before last. We spent a couple days cleaning limbs up all over the county. We've been doing a little project up at the fire station for the training facility up at Station 10 the last couple days, so it's turning out pretty well. And getting a little striping done on some of the county roads here this past week in between rain showers. Hard to get anything done. As far as our facility, our new facility at the road department, it's coming along real well. As you can see, they've got quite a bit of steel up. They did get our drains and concrete floor re-poured. That turned out real nice. They're just doing some site work now. It's the electric underground service to the new shop. So everything's shaping up down there. Rising Sun, they're doing a really good job for us.
And I'm assuming we're still on schedule?
The meeting we had today, they're saying we're about a month and a half behind. Of course, you know, the deal with the floor threw us a couple of weeks, 3 weeks behind.
Right.
So that was a big hit, but all in all, it's going well.
I'm assuming it drained.
Fought a lot of rainy days, you know, so.
And it drained well after we got this rain?
Yes, sir.
A little bit better than it did before?
Yeah. Looked real nice.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. Go ahead, Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Road Superintendent. When we say we're 6 weeks behind schedule, where does that actually put us? Does that put us in September, October, November?
I think
Just for everybody
the
here to
original
understand.
completion date was around December,
Yeah, I think.
best I can remember.
So that
But
pushes us.
I think they'll make up some days.
Okay.
You know, coming up. So,
Thank you.
Way the weather is, may lose a day.
that's true too. They've lost several, you know. The Rising Sun crew, they'll work whether it's raining or not, but, you know, it slows them down.
Go ahead, Squire.
Thank you, Judge. I also wanted to say thank you so much for the road department's work out in the first district. There's roadside mowing going on.
Right.
I know it's been going on in other districts, but it has made a huge sightline improvement out there in the first district. So truly want to give thanks where it's due. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Duke while he's here?
Just, they're saying July. Haven't heard anything different since the last court meeting.
He's not budging off that, is he, Squire? We ask him every week.
I wish it would come in
I know.
tomorrow, but
Uh-huh,
unfortunately, it's not going to.
yep. Alrighty. Duke, we thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, now my judge's report. I was invited to join the governor on May 23rd, where he announced Juneteenth as a holiday for state employees, and so since we follow their schedule, I was honored to sit next to him and sign for Franklin County that we will recognize Juneteenth. It was a great day with a lot of good speakers, so it's exciting that we're moving forward with things like that. On May 28th, the Jail Task Force Committee got together. We discussed the SAP program, as well as some emergency evacuation plans. And since then, we've talked to our emergency management with Ray Kenny, and they have things in place right now, but we're looking to hopefully make that a little bit better. but I know that Tammy's put in for that fence around that facility, so hopefully we'll be granted that soon, and we can make that happen. Administrative Services Committee met actually today, and I want to thank Ashley, our new HR director. We had a really good meeting to go over the administrative code, code for the county and things like that. So we're hopefully in the next couple weeks going to bring a final to the committee. It's come a long ways from where we started, I will say that, and couldn't be happier with that right now. Yes, day before, I think, I was invited with Sheriff Choir and Deputy Depp to go down to Richmond to honor a fallen officer. So we had an officer that was recognized, Deputy Sheriff Tess Deakins of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, was shot in the line of duty on September 18th, 1882. So they finally put his name on the wall. So they honored, I think, 10 officers. The most recent one was Scott County, who lost that officer last year. So some of their court was there, the judge executive was there, and most of their sheriff's department was there to honor him. So it was really nice, a nice ceremony. So, I mean, I hate that we have to have those, but it was nice. So, and then obviously just about everybody was there yesterday for the big announcement of Target, $150 million investment. That's going to really change Franklin County. So I was appreciative of everybody being there. It was a great event. Even though the rain got them 2:07, whatever, I got a text. It was going to start at 2:30. So they really switched gears fast and made the move. But it was a great thing. Again, the rotunda was packed. I couldn't believe how many people were there. So there's definitely some excitement. And I think what people need to understand is, the traffic has been considered, and the off-ramp's going to change, and there's going to be a backer road and all types of things. This is years of planning that went into this project, and it's amazing what Target can bring to Franklin County as far as how many other counties it's going to pull from to benefit. So that's and that's just one of the stores that will be in that large development. So that's exciting. The other day, Solid Waste met. I was unable to be there, but I know Allie met with Solid Waste Committee. They talked about the ordinance that was kind of proposed, and we're slowly working through it. I want everybody out there to realize that this isn't something we're going to sign today or tomorrow. It's something that we're listening to people. We're meeting with the schools, the government. We're meeting with business owners, homeowners about what can we do that makes sense. And not, we're not trying to put people out of business and things like that. So there's a lot of misconceptions going on out there. So I commend her for all her due diligence and working through it to listen, and we're going to do what we feel is feasible. Upcoming events, I think everybody knows, Capitol Expo is getting ready to kick off this Friday. I think it starts at 10 a.m. 10 to 10 is the time. It's going to be on West 2nd Street. This is a free event with live music, food, carnival rides, 5K race, classic cruise-in, children's festival, arts and crafts, vendors as well. The Frankfurt Idol is a big deal. I guess there's going to be a finale on Friday at 7 o'clock with the first prize taking $500. There were 6 preliminary competitions and 2 singers were chosen. I know Squire Sebastian was one of the judges, and Mitzi Jevenin, executive assistant, who, by the way, fun fact, won it in 2008. So she likes going around talking about that. So anyway, it's going to be a great event, and hopefully the weather will cooperate with everybody. On June 9th, and I know there's some tickets still available, is going to be the Josephine Sculpture Park barn raising. It's a huge financial event for Melanie and her team out there. So we actually met with her this morning. They're super excited. They have Crean and Matthew Maynard of Maynard Studios. I think they're going to do blacksmithing out there, and it's just going to be a great celebration. They have appetizers, dinners, dessert by True North Catering, cash bar, beer, wine, bourbon, and then they're going to have a bunch of things to bid on throughout the night to help raise money for that amazing place we have out there in Franklin County. So if you're available and you can go, please sign up and go. Another side note, June 20th is the longest day of play. That's held at Juniper Hill Park from 5 to 7. And then there's a pool party, I think, from 7 to 9. I think that's limited to how many? 600 kids. So I know last year it filled up pretty fast. So if you're interested in going to that, I'd advise getting there a little bit early. But it's always a great event with nonprofits in city and county working there together. So, and then most of us next week will be at the CJEA KMCA Joint Summer Conference in Lexington. So we'll get up there and learn some new things. I know there's going to be a lot of conversations, a lot of hot topics going on right now. So that is my judge's report. So anybody have any questions or any comments before we move on? Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and jump down to the approval of minutes from the May 22nd, 2024. Is there any comments or concerns on that? Alrighty, next I'm gonna ask Ron, I believe, to come up. Ron, how you doing tonight?
Fine, sir, yourself?
Doing well, thank you. I see you brought a couple people with you, some backup.
A little backup.
That's all right, yeah.
So we're gonna talk about the SAP program. That's the Substance Abuse Prevention Program. You should have in front of you a contract with the Kentucky Department of Corrections. This is a couple things. What the SAP program is basically it is a rehabilitation program, and it has to be run licensed just like it would be if it was not in a corrections environment. The people that will be participating in it are female. There's a lot of opportunities for male inmates to get into a SAP program, but not many for female. So they get the life skills that they need so that they don't reoffend, and they get an opportunity to take some time off of their sentence. So it's kind of a very broad overview, but I'd be glad to answer.
Well, and I think you hit on it. I think the important thing to for me at least is trying to make people better before they're released back into society. You know, for me, I think that's the key here. So we don't have recidivism and things like that. So I know it's been a long process working with the state and things like that. So I think it's a great thing. So yeah, we're going to open up to the court and see what comments or they have. Does anybody have questions for Ron or his staff on this agenda item? Squire Wisman.
Judge, just for a clarification, because we got two copies, and I think there was a mistake that at least mine was maybe switched. But we should be looking at the copy that has the Franklin County Fiscal Court with Amy Quatman as contact listed, because there's one that has the sheriff's office listed. And that was the change.
So that
Page 4, I guess.
when we received the initial contact information, it did have the sheriff's office on the first.
Okay.
I was given a new one, or I mistook it to be the newest option. It's actually the old one.
Okay.
Just to clarify for everyone.
Thank you, Squire.
Ron, I suppose could you walk us through we had some in-depth discussion about the amount that is allocated for the court and
So-
how that would work initially and how it could work in the future in terms of number of detainees.
When we had to submit the jail budget, we had not yet received the contract from the state. They were waiting on their budget. So we just kind of had to guesstimate what the revenue would be. We have received an occupancy certificate of 95 for the facility itself. So ultimately, we'll be able to put 95 clients in there. But in the early stages, in the beginning of the program, they're going to give us 20 inmates for about a month, and then 20 more, and then see how we do with that. So in Grant County, they did the same thing. Grant County now has 160 inmates. So I anticipate that the initial revenue projection, we probably won't make that, but we'll get fairly close, as we show them that we're able to handle the program, and that we have an occupancy certificate that's 95, and we initially expected 80. So I think it'll kind of offset all of the expenses for starting the program, other than food and things like that, have been taken care of this year's budget. So going into next year's budget, you're not really looking at a big impact.
And a question, I suppose, for Judge or County Attorney. We're going to adopt a budget tonight that does not match what we've been allocated by the state here. Possibly the best recourse would be just to leave that and amend it as we go through the year, I would think, because there's potential that we'd get extra revenue, but that's unpredictable as yet. So if anybody caught that there's a pretty drastic difference between what we budgeted and what they've allocated so far, but the reasoning is that we may get a larger allocation as we get up and going, so.
I believe that we will.
Yeah. Amy's not here, but I would say she's probably going to do the same thing. As it comes in, we'll amend as needed. Is that okay?
But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong,
Go ahead, Squire.
but the amendment to a budget in the future would be the total revenue and not just a specific part of that, I don't think. So, I may be wrong, but there could be quite a bit more revenue in some of the property tax or some of the intangible taxes or some of the occupational taxes that would offset there.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask just in front of everybody. Max, you have looked at this contract and it meets your requirements?
I've looked at it, looks good as to legality and form, so I think it's, I'm ready to move, that's what the court's pleasure is.
What other questions we have for Ron on this agenda item? Good. All right, let's keep moving then. Ron, you got the whole night tonight. I mean, look at these.
Let's hope they all go that smooth. This is House Bill 556. This bill pays for attendance for state inmates and DOC approved classes. So we believe that it'll bring in about $10,000 in revenue. And that's an MOA, and we need to be introduced, or it's actually a contract, so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Captain Smith, but this is something we normally do,
The state implemented this probably 3 years ago.
so it's not something new, it's something we've been doing.
So I think for me, I was looking at this, the financial impact looks different from what you just said on abstract. Huh? Different item?
It looks like this is the we're talking about item 4, it looks like this is the contract providing workforce labor for transportation. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Are we,
So it's a different MOA.
Yeah, I think we're off.
are we off one in our agenda tonight for the thing that was input into here?
Yes, we amended the agenda to add the SAT program. The SAT program contract, and a copy of the amended agenda was in y'all's mailbox. I can go get that if I need to. You should have 2 number 3 agendas.
Can you go get that clerk, please? Make sure everybody has it.
I think everyone's got it. But they're both number 3, that's the.
Yeah, I think that's the.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was just a duplication. Well, I can go back to the other one. Confusing old people. Play the whole card.
They did get them.
Okay. Making sure.
It's originally item number 3 from the original agenda that went out.
All right, any questions for Ron on this one? All right, Ron, let's keep going and we'll figure it out.
The next, I believe, is the roadside inmate work crew contract. That's with the Department of Transportation. That brings in about $293,000 in revenue. This is again something that we have done for as long as I can remember.
So are we currently doing this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any issues that you see with this in the past or currently that you think we need to look at, or?
I think it's good for the community, it's good for our inmates, they get to get out and work, and, they can take time off their sentence by working and maybe learning something that they didn't know before, so that they can be better suited when they reintegrate.
Okay.
But I think it's a good program that should continue.
All right. Questions on this agenda item for Ron? Vice Squire Whitman.
Hey, Ron, can you just relate to us how this relates to the previous contract, or the amounts similar?
I believe it's identical.
Still the same.
I would have to defer to Captain Smith on the exact numbers, but I believe it's identical. This pays for, we pay the staff that supervise the inmates, but the state pays us.
And just walk us through right quickly, if you will, this is the one vehicle we have that goes out with the work crew that we're
Actually,
transporting.
the state provides the vehicle from this particular crew.
Okay. So the mileage reimbursement, how does that work?
I would have to defer to.
So the worksite 1, which is guardrail, that's the one that they reimburse for gas, and that is a jail vehicle. Worksite 2, they do not reimburse for gas, and they use their vehicle.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ron or Captain Smith?
I suppose, how many annually do we have that participate in that program? How many inmates?
The crew is around 3 or 4. It basically depends on the number of Class Ds we have that are workable outside the community. We try to keep 3 or 4 on it. I think 4.
Do you know if we've used the majority of the amount we've been given in the past?
We have this.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this agenda item? All right.
Next up, we have the service proposal from W.W. Williams for preventative maintenance on our emergency generator system. Maintenance Director Wilburn has worked on this to find a good value for our money, so I will defer to you.
Okay.
So this contract is to perform service on both generators. It is a yearly contract. It's $1,900, not a big burden on the jail or anything like that. It is very important to maintain these generators. One is a backup generator for our big freezer, and the other one is a backup generator that actually runs the whole jail. I looked through contracts. This is required by Kentucky jail standards that we have a contract like this in place. It has not been in place before. I looked at several companies. I can tell you, based on one service call, that this is a very reasonably priced contract. It includes oil filter changes. Any maintenance that needs to be done with the generators, they take care of.
Okay. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks for being with us. So my question is in regard to, and I'm looking at the agreement page, that at the top of it says agreement summary, and then it says Franklin County Jail, your name, 400 Coffee Tree Road, and then the paragraph under that says for and in consideration. What it demonstrates to us is that this is a one-year agreement, and it has automatic renewals with no review or renew period, or no contract limitation timeframe, like renewed up for a period of 3 years. So I think this body's talked about that a number of times, so I just bring that back up for the body to discuss again.
Okay. It's a good point, Squire, so let's talk about it.
I'd agree, Squire. I think last meeting, or the meeting before, we said my preference would be to adopt a policy that all contracts do not exceed 4 years in automatic renewals, so that they are forced to come back before a court, within the term of a court. I would like to amend the contract for that. I had that note as well.
So do you want to do that just with like a date? Like how do you all want to do that?
I think it'd just be easiest for automatic
We
renewals.
consult
My
with the county
my
attorney.
suggestion, if you all are wanting to put a date up to so many renewals, is to table this item, because you don't know if the company is willing
gonna
to do
agree.
that. This is their proposed contract to us, so that would be a negotiation to go back to talk to them to say, would you be willing to add in the contract language that says, 1 year renewable up to up to 4 years. And so they may be willing to do that and keep this same amount, they may not be willing to do that and keep this same amount. And so,
You got any idea?
I would
Did they-
100% think they would.
Okay.
They, I actually had the contract amended already,
Okay.
by recommendation from Max. He pointed out some language that needed to be changed already, so I don't think they'll have a problem doing that at all.
like I said, so if we want to table this to the next meeting, then that's the court's preference, if that's what you all want to do, but that would be my suggestion, if you all want to change the language of the contract and then vote on it as that amended contract.
Or if he thinks they're gonna change it, can we just not change it now, and then if they don't wanna do it, they won't do it?
I would recommend that if at all possible, we pass it and have them change it because of the fact this generator was installed during ESG's thing. No oil's been changed in it or anything.
Just gonna ask.
Have they been inspected to date at all?
They haven't been inspected to my knowledge, we'll put it that way. And it is required by federal jail standards.
And so what I could do, because ultimately I'll have to sign it, so if it's not what we wanted,
I mean,
We won't sign
can
it.
we not amend the contract and send it back, and if they're agreeable, they sign and approve? I would think.
Yeah.
And can we maybe come up with an agreement now and put in our minutes that if that's amenable to the whole body, that going forward, any of our staff that bring us forward a contract, that we have a maximum of 4 auto renewals for, I would like to just go ahead and make that an understanding so that it's,
So let me-
unless there's a caveat for some reason not to.
Let me ask a clarification question. You said 4 automatic renewals. Is that for 1 year? Because sometimes we get a contract for a period of 2 or 3 years. So if we automatically renew it, like a 3-year contract, that's 12 total years. Are you thinking 1 year? Is that what you're saying?
Nothing shall exceed 4 years. No
Okay,
contract
gotcha. I
shall
just
exceed.
wanted,
Total.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make sure we all are on the same page,
Mhm.
because this is an important thing.
And are you all thinking of a dollar amount on that as well? Or is that any contract?
I would think any contract, preferably, I mean, it would be
Any contract
nice to
that
assure
they
that
have.
every court has the eyes on every contract within their term.
How often are these generators run?
The generator currently has 66 hours on it.
Okay, I mean, is there like a time cycle, like you
It
do them once a month?
starts up and runs 30 minutes every other week.
Okay,
So just as
Just as a
maintained,
test.
it's 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning.
okay, well, I would suggest maybe looking at getting twice a year. I mean, that's a big generator. It puts a lot out, it controls a lot. 1 year service, I would look at maybe doing twice a year, every 6 months. Just to make sure, because if it goes down, that's $1,900, not a drop in the bucket, what they cost.
but I guess I'll,
I did twice.
$2,000, so.
I can tell you that it is very expensive to maintain these generators.
But this is what they do, right? So they've
Yes,
recommended once
This
a
is
year.
exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They have contracts with many jails.
So,
Go ahead, Squire.
thank you, Judge. Do they have any kind of, like, the generators have an alarm on them? Like, I know, like, the freezer probably has an alarm. If it goes down over
Yes.
X period of time, it makes a noise to let you know, hey, the freezer's down, we need to go move the food, so we don't lose $30,000 worth of food.
Yes.
So does the
The,
generator have an?
The small generator has an alarm. It's just a
It should.
tonable alarm. It's right outside my shop, so I'm gonna hear it. The big generator is actually noted through automated building concepts. So it's just like the HVAC controls. So if it alarms, I get an email and it alarmed. It
has an auto shut off as well.
There's
So,
an alarm inside main control.
so I know for some systems like this, and this one's newer than a lot of systems that we currently have, a lot of those can be put on a handheld device so that it alarms to your phone, like, and that way, I mean, it's instantaneous notice rather than, there are a lot of things that are in email and sometimes everybody's not as vigilant on email because there are other methods. So because it controls everything at the jail, that seems like that's one we'd want to know pretty straight away if something's going on, right?
But typically, I mean, if that big one alarms, I mean, it's a
If that
physical
big-
alarm
If that big
there.
one alarms, they're gonna call me because it's gonna pester them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna go off to
Long
the
as
control room or something,
No,
right?
straight away.
Yeah.
It's automatic start, isn't it? If
It
the
is
power goes off, it comes on.
It is automatic start, yes.
How long does it how long would the power be off for it initiates start?
Maybe a minute.
Maybe a minute?
We had a power surge the other day and it was on maybe 30 seconds later.
Are these diesel operated?
That is a propane, or
Both of
yeah,
them?
natural gas operated generator.
Natural gas? both of
And
them?
the other one is natural gas as well, yes.
The other one's natural gas?
Yes.
That's why he carries a rope in his back pocket, you know, it's the old style,
Right.
rope and pull, you know? Times are
So,
tough.
so it says a fuel sample in that smaller generator.
We don't have to do fuel samples.
Okay. Because I noticed that on the second one, it said just oil and coolant, and I assumed the smaller one was
It's probably air cooler.
fuel because it was,
It is liquid cooled, both of them.
Both of
liquid
them.
cooled.
so we may want to say, I mean, if they're writing that out, they're basically the same type of operation. They're both
Yes.
natural gas and they're both liquid cooled. You should probably, instead of oil and fuel sample and oil and coolant sample on a second one, they should probably line up.
Okay, so we're all in agreement that we're gonna change some verbiage on this to say no more than 4 years renewals?
So when it comes time to vote, we'll have to
Yeah.
state all of that
Yeah.
in our motion.
Judge, I'm sort of the opinion too that maybe we need to think, we have a 90-day warranty from the period of inspection for once a year. So 3 months out of the year we're covered, although he has an indemnity clause that sort of says he's not liable for anything if it does go wrong. But I'm wondering for the value, if there isn't a benefit in having a more regular inspection period, maybe, you know, every fall before the winter comes and we're really relying on that thing, and then again at the end of the winter period or some other schedule.
I'm assuming we can dictate when they do the yearly maintenance, correct?
Yeah, we can. The reason I'm choosing to do it now is because it hasn't been done.
Right.
I mean, we all know that water gets created in oil when it sits for a long time because of moisture and stuff in the engine blocks.
So, you referred earlier about the age of these generators. Did you, I might not have caught the exact date.
They were put in under ESG,
So within 4 years?
4 years, yes.
No, it's not antique.
It's not antique, they're actually very good quality generators. One of them's a Cat and one of them's a Gillette generator. One of our fire stations actually has a Gillette and Cat generators, or it takes a,
Well,
it's a big generator.
There's also a clause in here of a 30-day cancellation. So even with that in there, and they didn't like the 4 years, they could give you a 30-day
Yeah.
notice.
You can opt out of the renewal or have 30-day
Anytime right
cancellation.
there. And they probably may need increased money too as the time goes on. May not, but
We're spending a lot of time on it, but
Yes.
the question is, was there some particular reason, is it state mandate that once a year, but we could opt for more? What was your
Yes, state
feeling
mandate,
about once inspection a
we're
year?
supposed to have, we're supposed to have the generator maintained once a year.
if we opted to do more than once a year, that's gonna change the contract. They're probably gonna not.
It can, but if we was gonna do that, we'd just terminate the contract, have Max write up a termination letter, and then redo the contract, and then
Just
sign
amend
the contract next year.
Just amend it.
I mean, for me, if this is what this company does and this is what they recommended, I mean, I'd say it's probably adequate. That's just me.
If it starts on a routine basis for check, it automatically once a year probably more.
I think we have consensus on that, Judge. Can we go back to my earlier question, and can we get a consensus then to put it within our minutes, I suppose, about any future contract not exceeding 4 years of renewal? I just would like that reflected in our.
Yeah, I'm just
minutes.
wondering, do
Can we
we
just
want
make
it?
that administrative practice?
Yeah, we can do that minutely, yeah, because I'm worried about what if there's, somebody gives us a
It
deal
could be
for
put in
long
administrative
contract.
code.
Yeah. They're gonna raise the price
I
after
don't want to
renewal.
hamstring us if, you know, there's certain cases, so, but I think we can send that out above to everybody and just make that a common practice, that no contract lasts more than 4 years.
And since that, if that is the consensus of the court, when I review these contracts, I can take a
Yeah.
look at it and
That's
say,
what I'm asking, if we can just
Yeah.
get a
That's
consensus.
what everybody wants to do, just let me know.
I think everybody's in agreement.
So when I take a look at them, I'll say, we need to trim this.
I just don't want to say always, because there might be an opportunity where, you know, somebody's 5 years and it's going to be cheaper than a 4-year.
Well, the exception should never be the rule.
Right.
And with those are always cases to come, that's why we have a body to review
Yeah.
these things.
Okay. Matt, thank you. I think we're good. Yes, sir. Alrighty.
Next up is everybody's favorite subject, policy and procedure.
Before we begin, Ron, I want to thank you, Captain Smith, and your whole team, because this has been an undertaking. I mean, this has been something that, to my knowledge, hasn't been looked at in over 20 years.
It's been a long time. It
To this
gets
depth.
reviewed every year, but it's just.
Not to this degree, I don't believe. So I just,
Yeah.
I want to commend you, Laura, and everybody on your team, because it has been a true team effort. In addition to the magistrates in this room, Ashley, our new HR director, everybody has weighed in on this, and I think it's for the good of everybody. So, sorry to cut you off before you get going, but I just wanted to say that.
I want to thank the team, because really I didn't do much other than kind of just keep it all on
Yeah.
track, you know, as far as timetable, but, all of our senior staff worked very hard on it, Ashley worked very hard on it, so we appreciate that very much. The basis of this policy and procedure is, when I first came into this position, I was speaking with the jail inspector, and I knew that we had some policy issues, which policy conflicted itself and other things. And he provided a couple policies that he felt were really good. We used part of the KCO model policy. So that's the basis of these policies. It's the KCO model policy plus Carroll County Detention Center and the Marion County Jail. And that's we've kind of tailored that to fit Franklin County in particular. But I think it is a usable document that a reasonable employee can refer to it and follow it, because it's only 170 some odd pages, which is not that big for a jail policy. And I think it puts the county in a good liability posture that things have been addressed and needed to be addressed, so.
Would you mind just one more time? You said it was off the KCO model policy, Carroll County,
The Marion County Jail.
Marion, okay, thank you.
Marion County's kind of considered a leader in corrections in Kentucky, so if they're doing it, you know, everybody else will be in the next year or two, a lot of times, is the case with them. The jail is really good down there.
What questions we have for Ron or his team on this policy and procedure? I know it's not perfect, but I think it's very, very close.
Judge, can we start off with, I have 3 copies.
Good
2 of which
question.
I've not got to review or changes. I'd like to know what those are. And I'm really, consistently, we're having things kind of laid on our desk at the last minute that we haven't got to review. I don't like that policy, even if something can be emailed out to us earlier in the day of, if we have a chance to review some things. And I'd really like to make it a policy that any document from now on that we have that's changed, can we do the strike-through editing, tracking, so that we can more easily see in the future exactly what's changed in contracts and as they're.
And I will say, and I'm gonna ask Ashley, Ashley, is this the changes that we just talked about?
Just talked about,
Yeah.
so it likely does not reflect prior versions, especially what our experts here worked on prior to, my input in the matter, but this is the most recent changes and the most recent version that was produced from our latest discussions.
And that was
Just
just.
to clarify that that does not affect any of the operational policies.
Absolutely.
So it's mainly, we're corrections professionals, we may not be the best at grammar and spelling, to be honest. So I think a lot of that kind of stuff was improved, in addition to some other things from the HR background that's outside our area of expertise. But the document that you have is materially what we worked on, because the task force has spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they have read it and read it.
I've read it at least 6 times,
We've
cover to
been
cover at
through
this
it
point.
a couple meetings.
Eric, there's nothing, because I was on the task force, there's nothing that's contradicting anything you all did. There was just a couple little grammatical things. I mean, there was something about notification to the judge, and we added county attorney on there too, if something were to happen. I mean, there was literally like 3 different changes. It's nothing to, and Kim just said, orange one is the latest.
Yes.
Well, the orange rubber band is the latest.
But again, Judge, I kind of would like to just approve the one that I read that was in our packet last week and come back if we need to. I don't know what material is there, unless you, I'm trusting your all's word for it, but I have no idea what has changed unless I go back through and compare page to page at this point.
Understandable.
Could we get, this is gonna be a resolution, not ordinance, is that correct? Now
Correct.
so if we passed a resolution that, with the changes Ashley's put in it, could you maybe send us an email of those actual changes sometime?
The HR related, portions that I worked on, I should be able to restore some previous drafts, definitely the most recent ones I have.
Well,
But going back to, of course, the work.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about the changes you made in the last, since yesterday, I guess.
Ron, so we're saying the policy's the same, the only thing was fixed was grammar or, punctuation,
Yes,
periods?
with the exception, there may have been some HR things
Some
that
HR
are outside
policies.
our area of expertise that Ashley would be the expert on.
But
I think that has to do with probably leave time or ADA stuff. I'm not sure.
EEO, we
Yeah,
updated that.
some things like that that just needed to be updated. But as far as the daily operations, where I feel like we were in a bad position liability-wise, that has all been resolved. And in general, the policy mirrors the county code, the administrative code, and all of the additions that were
that's in
requested
there.
are put in place. So the
Here's this
organization
part.
and staffing and all that is.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Vice Sebastian. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had your hand up. No?
No, I think y'all have covered it fine.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Said everything.
Saw something, I
You said-
guess I didn't see. But it's your wish that we go ahead and pass this tonight.
I think it addresses some issues that definitely need to be dealt with. It needs to be done sooner rather than later.
My question is just which version would we like to do? If I could have put my fingers on changes that were made that I haven't got to see because I walked in and had a different version.
Would it be okay if we take a recess before we vote, and maybe Ashley can just get with you and tell you what the 3 or 4 things were? She's HR.
More, I was thinking we could approve either version we want to, but I want to come back with a caveat that we may make some, and we've already said we may make some additional changes to
Yeah, I
this
mean,
thing coming up.
That's
And
absolutely right.
Since it's being done by resolution instead of ordinance, we could amend it anytime,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Very easily.
But I will say that, what Ron already said, refer to that there was a lot of time put in this and read several times and made changes and then changed them back and changed work. I think we did a very good job of getting it the best we could. It's obviously not a perfect document, and never will be. But, it's a far cry from where we started, and it seems like, if these are minor changes, I can, grammar and add in the county attorney on some of the reporting, that's fine, he should know. And he was gonna be defending them anyway, somebody.
But I will say, Squire Tanner, Squire Westman, you all put a lot of hours in on this, and we appreciate that, because it was,
We've got some
it was a big thing.
we've got some very important changes in there, and there's still 1 or 2 more that I would hope we could get settled, and that's an emergency plan on what we're gonna do with the people if the place catches on fire or
And
blows away more likely.
There is one in place, Squire. There is one in place per emergency management. Jack met with them. So, yeah, there is one in place.
So, okay, good.
Yep.
Maybe we should get a copy of that.
Yep.
So we can see that.
And I think we gave a directive at the last task force meeting that we hope to have any updates to that plan by the end of June, just as well, so that it's ready to go with the new jailer.
Yeah.
I am for passing something tonight. One of the reasons is just exactly what Squire mentioned, that we have a new jailer coming on pretty
Yep.
soon. And they give the new jailer time to review these and get familiar with what's been approved. And we're gonna identify it by the orange rubber band, okay? Which mine should have had in graph.
All right, any other questions? Ron, was that your last one?
No, I got an easy one though.
Uh-oh.
The last item on the agenda is a promotional raise for Sergeant Torres. We had a vacancy due to a sergeant leaving his position to take a position with another facility closer to his home. That left a vacancy, so Ms. Torres was already a corporal, so she was participated in a testing and an interview process. and was selected as the best candidate for sergeant. She came to us from Shelby County as a lieutenant over there, so we're glad to promote her, but that's the last item on that.
Okay.
That's XXI.
Exit,
Ron, again, thank you for all you've done,
Yes, sir.
and your team.
well, at least we know it here, man.
Thank you.
Judge, let me just echo that.
Go ahead.
Because we have spent countless hours in committee, and I know the jail staff have as well, putting things together and tweaking things and talking about it and getting up to date. I know it's been a drastic change than what we had 6 months ago, and it wouldn't have been possible without the.
Well, and I want to, Sheriff, I want to give you a shout out because you've been the one to help make this possible. When you and I decided to kind of take the reins over the jail, I appreciate you and your staff stepping up and helping out. We've made a big difference up there, so hopefully the new jailer will continue it, and good things will come.
We appreciate it, and it's a good feeling because we know that we left it better than we got it, just like we said.
Absolutely, that was our goal when we met about that. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Squire Westman. Alrighty, next I believe our county attorney. Kind of weird seeing you over there, Mr. Conley.
This is the large amount of excess fees for cold checks. These cold checks are, crimes regarding cold checks are slowly dwindling away based upon stores now using debit cards and everything else, so this account barely pays for itself, so this was the excess fees.
You didn't bring a big check to give to Amy or anything?
By the time we get the fees from the bank account, it basically depletes the whole amount anyway, so.
Alrighty. Any questions for Mr. County Attorney on this one? Alrighty. Thank you, Max. Alrighty. This next one, Duke, you might have to help me on this one. It's been a while. So this is change order number 2 that I think we talked about months and months ago for the drains from behind that vehicle storage area, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead and tell the court, I guess, anything else I'm forgetting about them.
It never had foundation drains designed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We don't know, but
We definitely wanted
it
it
had to
there.
have them, so
Yeah.
this is, you know.
But I will commend Duke and his team because there was some weatherproofing too, and so we went ahead and did that in-house locally and saved a ton of money.
Right.
And so this is the only little bits of what they were looking for, like a $10,000 change order, ended up being 2. But I think the way that hill comes off of the main road and stuff, we definitely felt like we needed drains on that building so there wouldn't be any problems down the road.
The architect didn't.
No, I guess they didn't, and we missed it, you know.
Put
I
them on
mean,
every house I've ever built.
you would think,
You'd think on building that size, it'd have them as well.
yeah.
The amount we paid the architect.
We went back and forth on it.
You know, we sealed the foundation and, or had it done. And then Rising Sun put in the foundation drain. And we went back, after they got that done and put all the gutter drains in.
Yeah.
So they're plumbed out as well. Shouldn't have any water issues at all.
Squire Westman.
Couple of clarifications, Judge. So this is a change order in addition to the scope of the project as it was defined already and approved for the budget. And the work's already been completed back in March, I think,
It
March
has.
27th.
Yes.
We're just now approving, so the work's already been done, so we're obligated to pay for it, but it's above and beyond the scope. We really should have seen this before the work was done. I brought that up a couple of times about this project in the past. It's one thing for road projects that you're in the middle of things and have to go buy something to make an improvement at the end, but
I think,
just
It
a
was
comment.
brought up to road committee, you know, in the road committee meeting.
Sure,
you know,
but that
decided.
committee is not the full fiscal court that pays all the bills. So just a editorial, more for them.
we've discussed that in our administrative code issues about what can be done without holding up a project. And this amount is $2,000, and we did we did meet on that out there and talked about it, and nothing much you can do about it.
Right.
we had to put it in.
It needed to be done.
But anyway, it was not exactly a surprise, and maybe that discussion should start again sometime about the parameters on change orders. But right now, that was a $2,000 one, which would have fell underneath all that anyway.
It's originally gonna be 10, you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
so. minimal.
Thank you all for doing the work.
Absolutely.
Knock it down.
Yep. All righty. Max, you on this next one?
I'll help with the next one.
All righty. So this next one is about the sublease agreement with for the crime victims advocate space in the courthouse. So any questions on this? I think it's something we pretty much do every year.
I will say this, the Commonwealth Attorney and I wrote a letter about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, regarding this particular position. Recently, PAC has approved to pay for this position for Franklin County, half from my budget with PAC, half from the Commonwealth Attorney's budget. So the amounts that are paid for by the county currently for this position will actually be taken care of by the state. So that'll be able to be removed from the budget.
Nice.
With that being said, she is still going to need an office, and she will still be, I guess, partly an employee of my office. And so I don't know quite how the court wants to handle this, if we want to table this to the next meeting to decide whether or not the fiscal court is willing to continue to pay for this office for the next year, because this is a sublease from the state where her office is. I don't know if the court wants to do that or how the court wants to approach that, but I think the lease for that office for the year, it looks like it's $3,300.
What?
It's only.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
$3,300, and I know the savings from the state paying for that position as opposed to the county is substantially more than that.
Yeah.
And currently, the fiscal court pays for the lease for my office in the courthouse, so I don't know how we want to do that as far as maybe amending the budget to reflect this addition or quite how, so it's however the court wants to handle that. But I would just ask if, since we were able to save a substantial amount of money out of the budget, if the court would be willing
Yep.
to pay for
I
this.
see no issues with that myself. Is the court okay with that? Amy, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a minute. How do you want to handle that? Did you understand what Max just said as far as he was able to get some funding for a position that we have in there? And then all they're asking us is to pay just a little bit?
And that position was partially funded by the VOCA grant.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think that is fine, because even with the VOCA grant, we still had a lot of, the general fund had to take care of a lot of those expenses. So, that, we just wanted to bring that before you to see if you wanted to move forward with this contract, how you wanted to handle that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Judge?
Yes?
Maybe it's a good point. I'd really kind of like to, I don't understand, I'll say as well as I should, maybe, the number of buildings that the courts occupy in our town and the use of them and how the divisions are of what we pay, like the building across the street. I'm thinking there's an opportunity for us to maybe re-visualize some of these spaces, since we have, so much space next door that I know you have some plans for some of, but there's still a lot of space next door that is directly adjacent to the courthouse as well. I'm wondering if there's maybe finally a time that we can look at all of our leased space and sort
I
of
can
figure
help
out.
with the building across the street. If you recall the meeting we had last year, the fiscal court does not pay for the building across the street.
Yeah.
And so that's completely paid for by the state through a contract with my office. So the building across the street is completely a state building.
Is that the friend of the court building?
No.
No.
Friend of the court is another entity that is housed in the building next door. So that's a completely separate entity.
I'm just bringing up that maybe it's a time to reevaluate
To look
everything,
at
where
what we
everyone
have
is,
and who's
because,
where.
there's, in my mind, it was easy at one point in time to find office space downtown.
Yep.
And there's now a demand for those spaces that if we can free up doors that lead onto the sidewalk and consolidate our offices, perhaps in buildings that we already have, it may be a benefit to the community, the
Yeah.
broader community, is what I'm sort of getting at
No,
here. So-
understandable, yeah. That's definitely something that needs to be looked at. All right, Max, thank you.
Thanks.
Tammy? How are you doing tonight?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
This is an authorization to apply for the Transportation Alternatives Program grant for a 10-foot wide, 1.5 mile long shared use path on US 460 Georgetown Road. The match for this grant is 20%, which is $70,950. This is listed as a level 1 priority path in the City of Frankfort and Franklin County 2016 Pedestrian and Bicycle Master Plan. Also, the pedestrian and bicycle comfort indexes for this area are both rated level of service E, which means pedestrians and cyclists are in danger. Daily, pedestrians and cyclists are seen traveling in the median and on the unpaved shoulder in the proposed path area. If awarded the funds, a study would be conducted to determine the safest location to cross over US 460, which there was a map in your packet that shows the two alternate routes. Well, I guess half of the section, there's an alternate route, and then the other half is the proposed path. And so, like I said, there's a 20% match. If we can't do 10-foot wide in all areas, it may be reduced down to 8, depending on restrictions, of the land.
All righty. Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being with us. So is the overall requested amount of funds, I looked at what we had from H&B, all that totals up to $272,500. 20% of that is not, so I'm just trying to figure out if it's more than what the math shows of the H&B thing. Is it more than that? What we're asking for? Do you know what we're asking for? How much?
Yes.
You know,
We're asking for $354,750.
354, I'm sorry, I didn't follow the last three. 354?
$354,750.
Okay, thank you. I know the
what
H&B
am-
math and Joe didn't add up right for me.
I think those
To make
things,
the
I think the things on the right there aren't in their total. If you-
No.
The
That's what I'm
asphalt,
saying, just
DJ,
adding,
yeah.
I'm trying to come up with what we
Yeah,
asked for.
yeah.
And then the use for this, it's gonna be a shared path, so it serves as both a sidewalk and a bike path, right?
Yes,
And
so
will there
you
be
can have
no-
you can have traffic going both ways.
Okay. Will there be like specific things like lanes or anything on that 10-foot, 8-foot thing? So it's like pedestrians only, or signs, I guess, that says, please, if you're riding your bike, you have to.
Yes, there'll be.
You have to let the
signage.
pedestrian go first or whatever. I mean,
Yes.
just so we don't have some kind of.
I think it's like the path out where Governor's Place is.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, because it
connects-
reminds me of what
Yeah.
that is
Right,
out that
yeah.
way, out
Yeah.
421.
And I think the only signs around there is, no motorized vehicles, this, that, and the other. But as far as a lane goes, I don't think it's marked, lane for bike,
That
lane for
one's not.
walking. I think it's wide open.
That one is not. And I'm assuming we at the road department, I say we in the greater sense of we, they will make like the signs, a sign shop there, so we won't incur any kind of
I would say
expense
when
on
we get to that
that
point,
kind
I'll
of
send it,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Kelly, you have any thoughts on this?
What
I know you
signs
see
and
people walking
markings?
all the time on that road.
I almost
Yes,
hit
signs and
Yeah.
markings are included in the
last
cost.
week.
Yeah, it's
Sincerely,
bad.
I almost hit one
Yeah.
last week. It was terrible. It freaked me completely out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm real excited.
And I wanna commend Tammy, because she's been doing a really good job. She's gone to, Walk Bike Frankfurt to get support letters. I think Envision, she's talked to the school system, she's talking to the property owners along there. She contacted, I'm gonna call it the old Raven Crest, it's something else now, Ridge East.
Huntley Ridge East.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of need for this, and even, HMB's been working on this, and they just say how many people they see cutting through their lot going nowhere, because there's a lot of housing back there, so, I think this would be a great thing. Squire Wisman, and then Squire Tanner, sorry.
Judge, the biggest question is, where's the city in this? This is all within city boundaries. Have we talked with them? Have they agreed to contribute any portion of this, of the match? Are they signing on to support the application? Did they ask for us to submit the application instead of them for some purpose? Or I'm just needing some more context in that resolve. I'm supportive. I've brought up several times that I wanted any park improvements to include access from neighborhoods.
Yep.
But I'm just wondering, there's always a question from that side of the river asking for contribution to these projects, but this is fully in their district.
We haven't, but we can. I mean, we've had conversations with them. They're fully supportive of it.
It's there.
I just didn't want to wait any longer because it's not top of their list, but I think it's pretty important for us.
Well, they've adopted the same walk-bike plan that we have, so it is top of their list. Yeah.
I did see on their agenda that they are applying, I think, for 2 other projects for this grant.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going, because we've 2 hands working for the same pot of money in the same community, and the same folks effectively calling to lobby on our behalf. I'm just thinking we have a stronger application if we mutually support the application. So I'm complacent to approve with the caveat that the city writes a letter of support.
Okay, I think they can do that. Squire Tanner.
My question is about the 70,000, 71,000 match. Can that come from the ARCA money, or does that come out of general fund, or is there another fund that it comes from? Might be a question for Amy, I don't know.
I don't know, it just says 20% match.
That's just for the grant, correct?
For the grant requirement, it's just 20% match.
Anywhere we want to pull it from?
Is any of that in kind? I mean, I'm assuming it just comes from the general fund.
That's what I was gonna ask, is how.
Can any of that match be in kind? Your work, things like that, or no? Is it just straight up money?
Cash or property.
Okay, all righty. So, yeah, probably it's general fund.
Yeah,
We got
general
that if we're
fund.
lucky enough to get it.
Don't think
General
ARPA
fund money.
funds.
That is not ARCA money.
It could be, I would think.
I don't know. I have to think about that. Can I get back to you on that? Because
I don't know, so anytime you get back to me, it'd be fine.
Is it a federal grant? You're
Yeah.
applying for? Usually
Yes.
federal money
Yeah.
can't match
yes,
federal money.
it's
Yeah.
federal transportation.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
can't use federal money to do
But
that.
in the instance of ARPA funds, you could, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a binding thing, but typically federal money can't match federal money. Yeah.
Along the lines of this, let me just ask maybe a question. If we could get an update, we had applied for a grant about connectivity, specifically in areas with school children and accessibility, and I don't know where if we have, I don't remember that, it's been 6 months ago or more, that I was excited about to do some of this kind of work. I'm not sure where we are. I'll meet with you.
I don't think that was under since I've been here, it must have been prior to me.
It may have been.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I don't have any record of that. I don't know.
Okay. We may not have got it in.
Do you know who it was with? I can look, research.
I'll have to go back in my notes.
Is that it?
Yep, thank you, Tammy. All righty. Chief Brewer, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you all?
Good, thank you for being with us.
Appreciate it. So this one's just authorization to award the bid for the fire department uniforms. Advertised in early May, had bid openings on May 16th. 2 bids were received that met all criteria, and both of those bids, I believe, are in the packet. Looks like Gauls is still the low bidder. There's actually surprisingly minimal changes to this year's bids compared to last year's pricing, which was pleasant to see. So the recommendation is to award the bid to Gauls.
All righty, any questions for Chief Squire Wisman?
Just one. Chief, could you confirm, I'm assuming this one page is one of the bids? It's a little confusing the way it's It's just
Yes.
handwritten at the
So-
bottom.
So that,
I just wanted to be sure that we had both of the bids here, because.
yes, that is both the bids. The first one is Gauls. It says in the bottom, Gauls LLC. And then
Yes.
the next says Public Safety Store. Or, well, it's got his name. That's the president.
Yeah,
of
it's just
Public Safety
handwritten,
Store.
but it
And
didn't have
his,
the,
his bid spec sheet looks a little different because he had some, he didn't spec the 511 brand on everything. He had some other options that were comparable to that.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the two bids.
thanks.
And then there should be a tally sheet in there as well that shows the difference in the pricing.
Yeah.
And so currently you're with Galls, correct?
Currently, we are.
And you're all happy with them?
Yes, they've done well.
Okay. Appreciate y'all going through the process. Any questions for Chief on this? All righty, Chief, thank you. All righty, Ben, how you doing, my friend?
I'm well, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Sure.
Take it away.
All right. So we are looking to get a new contract for engineering services. It's authorization to approve. We had advertisement placed in the State Journal at the beginning of May, and we received two very qualified packets from two firms. One was BFW out of Paducah. They also have an office in Lexington. Their proposal was for them to lead with a subcontractor of H&B. The other packet we received was H&B with BFW as a sub. So they're very, very competitive, very similar that we received. Ultimately, we decided to go with H&B. They have they're headquartered here. That's kind of one of the reasons why we went with them.
All righty, Ben, I know this is something that P&Z's been wanting for a while, so we could get moving on some of these federal things, so I appreciate y'all working on that. Questions for Mr. Judah on this line item?
Ben, can you confirm the handwriting, I just can't read very well in the bids, they came in at the same price, it looks to me, as well? I mean, they're the same bid, just two different ways.
Yes.
So that's 500?
That was the our scoring based on the points in the ad.
That's,
Yeah, so they were very similar.
All right, any other questions for Ben on this agenda item? Ben, thank you, appreciate it. All righty, next we're gonna ask Duke to come back and be with us.
Just authorization to award the bids for all of our road maintenance materials. We do this once a year for aggregate, blacktop, concrete, and culvert pipe. Our aggregate went down 50 cents a ton compared to last year. Blacktop went up $1.90. That's laid in place. And then the concrete actually went up $4 a yard. We had, let's see, we only had one bid on the stone. And one bid, HG Mays for the blacktop. And then we had two bids for the concrete. IMI and Harriet. And Harriet was the low bidder on that. And then we had two bids for culvert pipe, which was really surprising. It went down.
If you remember, it went up pretty good last year. That's the only thing that skyrocketed last year, so
Yeah.
maybe they overshot it.
So, I mean, it was almost half of what it was last year.
That's good. All righty, questions for Duke on these agenda items that we're going to be voting on tonight? Duke, just out of curiosity, when does salt sale go? When does that happen?
It is the
coming up, isn't it?
Yes, next week.
You hearing anything as far as what they think from an industry, as far as if it might up, down, stay the same?
I haven't really heard anything, to be honest with you. I don't know. Hope it goes down.
Yeah.
It's about $100 a ton.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any questions for Duke on these? Duke, thank you. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. There's Amy. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Sure. So we have our second reading of the budget. The first reading was on May 8th. We did have some changes that day. So I put those changes in and presented it to the Department of Local Government. They've approved it, so it's back to you for the second reading.
Alrighty.
Amy, a question earlier before you came in, arrived that the SAP program at the jail has been awarded at a fraction of what we had budgeted, but we have the potential to see an increase over the year through, based on our performance as opposed to some degree or capacity.
Yes.
Do you think it's best just to leave that value at the budgeted amount then and alter it as we need to throughout the year?
I was with you, I was on Zoom.
Okay, sorry.
So I did hear that discussion. So the jail budgeted $538,000 as revenue. So the abstract's 1.2, but I think that number that they used is probably a very good estimate because they will not be at capacity. That 1.2 is for 95. So they'll start, I think he said they would start at 20 and add to that. So I think that's a good place for us to be. And of course, if we come closer to that 1.2, which would be wonderful, we'll amend that in.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? Squire Sebastian.
I was just going to chime in, Madam Treasurer, because I think in the current budget, we had budgeted for a number of federal and state inmates, as we were told to put that in there, and that target was missed. So thinking about how we need to appropriately budget for revenues rather than way overestimated.
Yes, I agree.
More in line with what we actually think we'll have. Thank you.
And a question, Amy, actually, I can't remember, did we clarify for me the Anderson County inmates? Did we include that in the budget?
We did.
We did. I couldn't remember if it happened. It was so quick there. Okay.
We did. We were able to put that in.
Very good. All right, Amy, keep going.
Okay, the next agenda item is budget transfers that the road and the jail emailed me and requested that I make a move for them. Just a reminder that the transfers do not increase or decrease the budget. We're just moving between line items.
And so I'm going to go ahead and ask the loaded question. I mean, we're almost at the end of the fiscal year. We're coming in where we want to be, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm working on those numbers right now, sort of estimating where we're going to end up. We've got one more meeting that will wrap up bills for the year. Hopefully, we'll be able to capture all of those. I'll come in with that meeting with cash transfers and budget transfers. If you look at the treasurer's report, there are several accounts that are needing a budget transfer. So I've also got a second amendment or a fourth amendment that will do the second reading at that court too. So putting all that together, we'll have a better idea at that last meeting.
Squire Dacus, you have a question?
I'm just thinking
Good.
thinking about the opioid settlement money and some things that we might be doing, and I'm wondering if we need to, I don't know, what do we do with that, Amy? That comes up quickly.
So the opioid money is all in a contingency. It's budgeted.
Okay.
It's all sitting in there. We've had a few come in since this budget was created, so that'll be amended in.
Okay.
At the first, when I do that first amendment. So it's there, just ready for the court to decide where to use it. We'll transfer it.
I just want to make sure we didn't need to do anything special for that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Amy on this agenda item? Alrighty, next one.
So the next is the treasurer's report, and this is your revenue and expenses as of May 31st.
Anything that's jumping out at you, Amy?
Now, again, you'll see some items here that have negative, and those will be addressed at the next meeting with the budget amendment and the budget transfers.
Any questions for Amy on this agenda item?
I want to come meet with you, Amy, sometime soon. The one pops out at me is the Franchise Public Service Corps. Only 50% of that budget amount came in. The jail, I understand all of it and why we're down so much, but more so was looking at revenues and where we're going to fall with those, so you can.
Yeah, I think the revenues are in good shape. All of those negatives where it says uncollected, that means we have collected more revenues than we budgeted for, which is what we want to see. But again, some of those are being amended in to take care of the expenses that we didn't budget for.
Got $306,000 more than we budgeted for right now, according to the way I read the budget. On the revenue, just on the revenue. And that's at 91%. Will we get is there any other income to yet come in substantial?
Yes, we'll have the county clerk, the revenues from the county clerk that will be posted. We'll still have possibly some monies from the sheriff, probably that account line that you referenced, Squire Wisman.
Well, let's not discard that cold check that our county attorney brought us today.
No.
I mean, guys, look what he's doing for us here. Yeah. Sorry, Max, try to get you some props there,
I
buddy.
just put the county on my back and pack it. May have to get the sheriff to escort him over there.
We'll still have park revenues for 2 months posted. That's roughly $30,000. So there are still some things to be posted.
So this number could get close to over maybe 4 or more, probably. That's good. $500,000, a lot of money. And I'm still raising 300 to 400 to 500. Okay, by me.
All righty, Amy, next.
So the next agenda item is a request for you to authorize me to open up another certificate of deposit. Back in February, you authorized me to invest $5 million in a 3-month CD that is getting ready to mature. In my last meeting with CashVest, they recommended we put another $1 million, so I would like to put $6 million in a 3-month CD, and that will be ARPA money.
Amy, how do you feel that CashFest is doing? Is it meeting your hopes and dreams?
It is. I had really needed someone to tell me what we could invest.
Yeah.
Where, and base that on
How
our
long,
past.
yeah.
And I gave you snippets of the report that they generate for me, which is very helpful. And, one of the things they would like for us to review our investment policy. So we'll do that in our finance committee. But just the things like that they're saying to look at, I think is really beneficial.
Yeah, it's been a big help. Any questions for our
Yeah, Amy, there are 3 banks listed. Is that just the scope of, had the highest returns, or is that all we looked at?
That is all I looked at. I had them, the first round, I had them just go to all the local banks. Those were the 3 that were the highest. So this time I just took it upon myself to get in touch with these 3, and those are the rates that I came back with. I did run these by CashVest for them to see if they were good rates, and they said they were. They're competitive.
It's going to be in my mind always after sitting in that initial presentation with them about leveraging banks against each other to get the maximum return, because what's the loss to them? And in effect, the building community could get some additional points. But I was just through this with another nonprofit, and I'll speak with you, but there may be another bank in town that has some better rates that we should consider too.
Sure, I'd be open to that.
All right, Amy, thank you for all you do for us. All righty, next I believe is Kim, payment of claims. Does anybody have any questions for Kim on claims that are to be paid tonight? Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to pick up on Squire Tanner's comment to our auditing firm. You know, this is a big chunk of change for auditing.
Yeah.
So do we have the opportunity to select our independent auditor? And this is a question for
I was gonna
our
say.
treasurer. And I know they're very familiar with us, and we have a great relationship, and I'm not
Yeah.
meaning anything by the question, just.
We certainly can. And last year, I had requested us go with a firm because I was new, that knew us, and I also made that recommendation this year. But certainly, if that's you all, but it does require a lot more work when you have a firm that's not familiar with us. They spend more hours, and their bill is going to be higher, probably.
I just swallow really hard every time I see an audit bill.
It's
And I know-
cheaper than the state's audit.
I know before in court, there was one year we paid for 3 audits, county and then 2 for the sheriff's office, and that was
Yeah.
really hard to swallow.
Good question, Squire. Anything else for Kim or on payment of claims?
Yeah, Judge.
Go ahead, Squire.
Just sort of, we're making some final payments to some of our nonprofit partners. We mentioned a couple meetings ago about asking some like CASA to come in and make a presentation to us. I just want to keep it on front of mind because I would like to better understand the dynamics and how we can work with those in the
CASA?
future. If we could schedule that soon, I'd love it.
Got it, thank you. Anything else for Kim?
I just have you.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Squire.
Thank you, Judge. Just one quick question. Did we trade out a desktop for a laptop for our grant writer to be more mobile to, and more horsepower and all the things that we needed because we have boat anchors for computers?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank
it's
you.
time to switch them all out.
We need to be on that 3-year cycle. We need to do
Yep.
it. So, more for strategic planning.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All righty, if we're good, we're going to authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.8101F, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We're going to go into closed session. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty, we're open. Any questions on the approval of the jail promotion? Seeing none, other business. Anybody have any other business today?
No, no, good man, excuse me.
Just a couple of things, Judge, as always, of course. I wanted some clarification. The Duckers RFP that was sent out, we've not voted to reject those as of yet. I think we need to do that. I'd like to do that tonight. I understand one pulled their proposal, but we still should probably make a rejection. The others was not complete. They didn't show up to make their bid to us, but still is hanging out there.
So to be honest, County Attorney and I talked about that. The bids expire at the end of this month, I think, and we just felt it was best instead of putting on the agenda because the whole room would have filled up if we had anything with the agenda on there. So it was his recommendation. We just let it die, which will be, or it already is, I guess. Yeah.
I mean,
so
I appreciate that, but, you know, we need to have communications and the transparency with the public about what we're doing. I didn't have any communication. I was rather just hoping tonight that we would reject those publicly, but if they've already expired, then there's no need.
Okay.
I was just wondering where we're at with the sport complex and, you know, what the movement is on it, if any. Do we have anything going on?
Yeah, no, it's moving. Randy should be giving us an update. I think they're on schedule. I'm hoping within the next month, they'll be able to come give us a presentation and get something out for bid. I think they're wanting it out to bid with July 1? July. So as far as I know, their teams has been working on it. We haven't had a whole lot of communication with them. You know, they're just going through the due diligence of trying to get everything set up.
And also the pool project, I'm on the represent.
So we have been slowly working on some pool things, and I'll probably know more next week or two.
Okay.
But I think it's some things we can talk about tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep, perfect. Bartender.
Well, I just want to follow up on the question, from Squire Head. Tomorrow, our meeting talks about ARCA funds, which is, I understand, at least some of those would be used to fund the park. Could we not talk about it then?
Yeah.
Some, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to say pretty difficult to have the conversation about costs when you don't know the project yet.
Well, we can talk about the cost, we could talk about the
How we
project
do
and
this.
where it's going.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's going to be paid for, I don't know, I just don't want to be out of order. If we could bring it up, let's talk about it a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, that's a question for clarification, because the agenda tomorrow just says a discussion of those funds, not about discussion of all the projects that could be associated with those funds. Are we going to be within order to do that?
Well, that's pretty narrow. If you're going to talk about funds, and Amy comes in and reports how much money we got, and that's the end of it.
That's
I think
what
this is
I'm
going to be a
asking.
good conversation that we need to have.
I think we need to have I just want to make sure we have a broad enough agenda to allow that. And I'll say, you know, it's probably too late, I would think, to amend the agenda for 8:30 in the morning, but I was hoping we'd have a discussion of the opioid funds. You know, we've not done that still yet. I'd like an update of what the opioid task force, I understand exists, but even though we've not ever been given a
Well, can I
description
update
of
tomorrow?
who's on it and who's what.
Is it possible to update
not on the
them
agenda.
tomorrow?
It's not on
No.
the agenda. We can't tomorrow.
Unless we amend it, but I think it's too late to amend.
We need to quickly, though,
Yeah.
like, seriously, we need to talk about it soon,
Yeah.
so whatever that
We
needs to
put it
look
on, put on
like.
next agenda.
Can we possibly have an actual work session to throw out ideas and things at the beginning of July? It is the new fiscal year. I've been asking for a goals and priorities meeting amongst this body, but, you know, each independent committee is working on a lot of things that, again, don't get to the rest of us until a final recommendation has come for us to approve the cost of, I just want to.
I think tomorrow will be the start of that, and then if you want, we'll go ahead and do another one beginning of July. Because we're going to need to head that way anyways. Tammy's brought some, we talked about hiring potentially somebody in DC, so that's going to need to be a topic of discussion too. So she's pulled a couple firms together, so we need to start contacting them and trying to figure out what direction we're going also. So perfect timing for that. Yep. Go ahead, Bart.
One more comment or question, request. This month of June is when the fiscal court can open up the administrative code, which we're working on it really right now. We've almost got the personnel part of that finished, but that's only that part. The rest of it is still out there to be decided on. So do we need to take any action to make sure that it's on the floor for the future, because it belongs to you after this month?
Yeah, I'd like it on the agenda next time for any input, however we want to go about that process, since we only have one meeting left this month.
We
do
can't
have
get
some changes.
we
I would
can't
like to
get it
see.
done this month, but it's going now. I don't know, we need to do anything.
What are
Mike?
your thoughts on that, Max?
As far as, I guess, what's the specific question?
Do we need to take any action on going forward with the administrative code this month?
Did you say it's on those?
The statute says the court has the opportunity to do it in June, but that means can't
Unless
do
the
it in a
judge
month, you just
opens
open it up. But it's already open. We're already working on it.
But he's saying, do we need to, should we put it on the next agenda, so it's, at least it's on there per?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. That'd be my recommendation.
Well, we have to have a special meeting,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it has to be done.
Okay. All good?
Just a couple other quick things, if you would. I wanted to ask, I brought up to Chief, but I was out at Station 6 Fire Station, which has a lagoon system, and I was looking at some of the adjacent properties recently and kind of down near it. Smells pretty drastic. To my knowledge, it has never been cleaned. A lot of trees growing in it, a lot of other things. I was wondering if we could take a look at how to address cleaning that up to make sure that we don't have a backup system or a system that fails out there anytime soon.
Okay.
We don't really have that in the budget, I think, but it's been brought to my mind that that's maybe an important thing to look at. And then I wanted to commend you and the governor for making Juneteenth a holiday. If you'll remember, I brought that up in January, asking for us to take that step. I think it's an important one for the capital city to lead the way for the rest of the state sometimes. But at that time, I did ask about making President's Day in February also a holiday. I'd like for that to be considered, and we could maybe make that part of the conversation about the admin code. But I'd still like us to look at that, both of those as an option. So.
Can I comment on that? I thought we used to have President's Day, and then Martin Luther King Day is what we adopted instead of President's Day as far as recognizement. I didn't know whether you were aware of that or not.
I'm aware. But we have a January holiday. We don't have another till March. I think there's an opportunity to add one there. And my reasoning I brought up in the last court before you were here, Mike, was because the federal government is here in town and we're competing, with everybody, that is a federally recognized holiday that a lot of our community already gets off, and that we need to be competitive in our options. So I would like to.
But the state is not, correct? Because we follow a state schedule.
I think you're right. Well, we opt that we follow the state schedule,
Yeah.
but that's up to us.
Yeah, it is. Okay. All good stuff. All righty. Everybody good? Good? All righty. Let's roll into the voting session. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dacus.
Here.
Squire Harrod.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Westman.
Present.
Judge Miller.
Present. Thank you, clerk. Authorization for approval of minutes from the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve memorandum of agreement between Commonwealth of Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet, Department of Corrections, and Franklin County Regional Jail to establish an agreement for substance abuse and addiction treatment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve memorandum of agreement between Commonwealth of Kentucky Justice Public Safety Cabinet, Department of Corrections, and Franklin County Regional Jail regarding House Bill 556.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve memorandum of agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Kentucky Department of Corrections, and the Franklin County Regional Jail for roadside inmate work crews.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that clear?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a contract with W.W. Williams for preventative maintenance regarding the emergency generator systems with the changes provided by the court.
So moved.
And that, just to clarify for a second, is for the contract not to exceed 4 automatic
For
renewals.
total years.
4 total years.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll second it so we can talk about it. Thank you.
Is that okay, Max? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve the new Franklin County Regional Jail Policy and Procedure Manual.
I so moved. We approve the last copy presented.
Thank
I'm
you.
second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Version, aye.
Motion passes. Authorization to receive the county attorney's cold checks, expense excess fees for fiscal year.
So
Sorry.
moved.
January 2023. Sorry, man, I couldn't get through it.
My copy doesn't have a period between the dollars and the cents.
Yeah.
That's close.
Second. Do you have a second?
Who
I
motioned?
got it.
Whistman.
All right, sorry.
All for division of the house.
I was trying, man. I was trying to get through it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Amy, we're in good hands. Authorization to approve change order number 2 regarding the foundation drains of the vehicle storage for road department project.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Did you get that nay?
Yes.
Motion passes. Authorization to approve sublease agreements with administrative offices of the court for crime victims advocate space in the jailhouse judicial center.
So moved.
Judge, did we
Courthouse.
opt to table that?
Oh, no, I didn't think so.
Why are we
I don't know
tabling?
if we had an
Second.
agreement.
Oh, I was under the impression we were good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was good with it. I mean,
You're talking
I,
about the $3,300.
Yeah.
yes,
I didn't know
$3,300.
we were gonna take it.
It's a great swap.
Yeah.
Okay.
I seconded already.
It's all
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Sorry if I misunderstood that, but I thought, okay. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the following application to the Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid Transportation Alternatives Program Grant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Judge, I, with the caveat that the city supports that effort.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk to them. Authorization to award a bid for the fire department uniforms to the best bidder, Galls.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to award a bid for engineering services to the best bidder, HMB Professional Engineers LLC.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to award a various size of aggregates to the sole bidder, Harrod Concrete and Stone.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Judge, I have to abstain.
Thank you, Squire. Did you get that clear?
Yes.
Authorization to award bid for Class I bituminous surfaces for the sole bidder, HG Mays Corp.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Judge, I have to abstain.
Okay. Did you get that clear?
Yes.
Authorization to award a bid for Class A concrete and fiber to the lowest bidder, Harrod Concrete and Stone.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Judge, I have to abstain.
Clerk, did you get that?
Yes.
Just making sure. Thank you.
I don't have to on this one.
Authorization to award for N12 polyurethane pipe and fittings to the lowest bidder, Core and Main.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Second reading and approval of the ordinance related to budget for fiscal year 2024-2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Judge, I'd like to explain my vote.
Okay.
I will vote for this on the caveat that I'm excited and about the potential that Cash Vest has to create more opportunity for more investment. I'm still concerned, as I was last year, about budgeting with so much of a deficit. But I think we're coming in better from conservative budgeting and that we're going to see better returns based on some strategic investments. So I'll support it for this year. But I hope that we'll work towards equal budget in the future.
All right.
Can I make a comment, sir?
Sure.
We have to set the tax rate yet to come because we don't have any idea what it is. And at that time, we can adjust our revenue to make that whatever it needs to be. Right now, I don't think we're gonna have to adjust it, but anyway. That's not done yet. Even though we're at our budget passed, the revenue part's not done yet.
Yep. Go ahead, Squire.
I'll make one comment as well, Judge. Because we are a county, all of our assets are cash, and they all have to be in the budget, whether we draw on them or don't draw on them. So they all have to be demonstrated in there. So that is a reason that it reads out the way that it reads out.
Yep. Okay, all right, thank you, Court. Second reading and approval of ordinance relating to the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. We did that, right?
Yep.
Sorry. Authorization to approve budget transfers for fiscal year 2023-2024.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's reports.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorize the treasurer to open a West Banco certificate of deposit for $6 million on behalf of the fiscal court to improve investment earnings.
So moved.
Second. Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any payment of claims? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid. Authorization to approve the promotion of Kelsey Torres Esquada from deputy jailer to sergeant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.